Today we are going to be making a watercolor card. It happens to be Father's Day today, and I like making watercolor cards because I think it's a wonderful way to practice, especially since I don't have to worry about just throwing it in a drawer somewhere. It goes out to someone, so it's fast, it's fun, and you can be a little bit creative. We are going to be making a hot dog card. So I'm going to start by doing a really light sketch, which would kind of resemble a jelly bean almost, a little elongated. Hot dog part, and then the bun on the other side. So pretty easy drawing. You just want to make sure that you have the front bun, and then the hot dog disappears, and then the other side of the bun. And we're gonna put some mustard on this. You can do chili, mustard, onions. We might even throw some onions on here. I'm just giving an idea of where that's all gonna go. Okay, so like usual, so you can see what I'm doing, I've colored my water. So water's gonna go down here. And again, yours is gonna be clear. I'm only doing this so you can see where my water goes. Let me switch to a better brush. I just want you to see where I'm putting water down. There, I'm gonna put some over here. I'm gonna leave this area in the middle pretty white. And then I'm gonna put some more there. And I'm gonna keep it really simple. Cards should be simple, they should be fast. Again, it's just great practice. And just gonna put a little bit there. You'll notice several of my videos say that it's for card making, or I'll mention it while doing it. That doesn't mean it's not a good watercolor demo that's a little bit difficult. Some cards are a little more difficult. It does mean that it's a faster demo. So instead of maybe a 20 or 30 minute demo, it might be more like 10 minutes. Maybe even less depending. Okay, so hot dog part. We're taking a little bit of cadmium red, which is the red that's the fire engine red, and a little bit of that brown, which I'm using Updike brown. You can use any brown that comes with your set. You might have a burnt sienna, and you don't want it to look super brown, so we're gonna make sure we add enough red in there. Like that's too brown, right? So grab a little bit more red. I have a couple palettes. I have a palette that I have more exotic colors on, and I have a kind of a standard palette, and because cadmium red's used really, really often, I have a lot of it out already. So I grab it from that palette, and I'm just gonna take that, add a little water to it to make it bleed a little. Okay. And then the areas where the mustard comes right on top of the hot dog, I want to make a little bit darker. So I'm just taking a little bit more red. And I'm doing that because if the mustard's right on top of it, there's a shadow, right? Right. touching up the colors a little bit. Okay. Now I'm gonna go back in with just straight Updike brown, or again, whatever brown you're using. And I'm just gonna make some details. So I'd like it darker over here and over here. You wanna make sure you have some areas where a person's eye can just really crisply see an edge. Not everywhere, that'd be overwhelming, but just a couple areas where there's a for sure edge. And I'm gonna show two parts to this. There's gonna be the watercolor part, and then if you wanna continue, I am going to actually show you how to add some pen and ink to this also. I'm putting in some of that. This is cadmium yellow. And it might be called something different in your set. It is not called lemon yellow. That is a totally different yellow. It might be called a medium yellow. Gosh, depending on the brand, it really depends, but it's not lemon yellow. It should look kind of sunflower yellowy. Okay, so this is pretty loose and we want to tighten it up a little bit. It's also still pretty wet. So I'm going to take find those shadows. Make that yellow pop up on top, right? Okay. And you'll notice when I want some nice crisp lines, I'm using my little tiny brush. This is all pretty wet, so I don't want to do too much more to it until it dries a little, but what I am going to do is put some blue shadow in the bottom. And I'm just taking and grabbing some of the color I have in the actual picture, and I'm adding some blue to it. And then blending it out. You'll also hear me talk about complementary colors a lot. When you want something to really pop, you put it next to its complement. And you want to keep that in mind with shadows too. So I have a little demo on complementary colors, and I have a little cheat sheet on my website you can look at. And a good way to remember is most sports teams use complementary colors. And that is because you can see them from a distance. So blue is complement to orange. See how there's orangey colors here? That's why I'm picking blue. If it was red, I would have picked green, because green's a complement to red. And for yellow, which I have right here, yellow's complement is purple. And like I said, we'll talk about that more later. But this is a little bit of purple, just a little bit. Not enough to overwhelm. Just enough to help see that yellow come out. Put a little more color in the bun. And again, I don't want to spend too much time on this, so I'm pretty close to done. One thing I do want to point out when you're doing the shadow, don't just wrap it around your object. The shadow and the negative space between the shadow and the object are what helps something look three-dimensional. So my shadow goes over here, even though my hot dog is up there. You kind of blend it out into infinity. Watercolor cards are for sale in packages that come with envelopes usually. Or you can also do postcards, which are a lot of fun. This, however, is just a piece of paper, Arches 140-pound cold press, that I cut and folded. The only thing left I'm gonna do is take some of that pure brown and put it on the other side of the bun and then blend it in a little bit. This is a much more illustrative type of watercolor than I normally show you. Whenever I'm doing cards, it is more illustrative. A lot of times I do add the pen and ink, like I said. I'll show you that in a minute. Because it is a greeting card, it should be fun. It should. So don't stress about it. They'll be happy to have it. They'll probably frame it. If nothing else, they'll be impressed that you did it. Plus, there's not enough good hot dog cards in the world. So inside this one, it's probably going to say like hot dog, it's Father's Day, or something similarly corny. But you can also just make it blank. It's totally up to you. And if you start from now, you can get all of your Christmas cards done. You can start a little box of greeting cards for random occasions. If you did the cupcake demo, that is a great birthday card. Everybody loves cupcakes on their birthday. Now remember, we're just tightening everything up. So you can probably hear almost a little bit of scratching on the page. It's because the paper is very dry. My brush is really quite dry. And I'm putting the color down and then I'm going back into it. If it was a birthday, you could say, doggone it, I forgot your birthday. So many possibilities. Okay. And when you become a pro at this, you can add things like chili dog sauce and onions and ketchup, all those other goodies. But for now, we did one easy topping and the buns. Okay, so you can stop here if you want. And it's just a nice watercolor hot dog. Or you could go in and add more detail with pen and ink and a little bit heavier watercolor. So you can stop right here and be done. If you want to continue, or you want to do a second one, do the second one and then push play right here. This is me adding blue underneath the yellow. This is an indigo blue. I happen to love indigo blue. It's almost black, but look how lovely it is when you just pull it out on its own. Gorgeous. Now these two colors are going to play off of each other, meaning someone's eye is going to go between here and see that, right? So we're going to hint at a couple other places too. You don't ever want someone's eye stuck in one area. I like my stuff to be pretty colorful. I add a little bit of yellow because I wanted to incorporate the blue and the yellow together, which made this wonderful green. Might seem a little strange for a shadow, but I'm pretty sure it works. Like I said, either way, it's going to go to somebody and they're going to be glad that you made them something. Even if they don't like it. You still took the time to make it, and that says something. Especially now, everyone's so busy all the time. Okay. We don't want to get the bun too dark. So probably leave it like that, and then this little part right here, gonna hit it with a little bit more heavy yellow. Sometimes I don't love the demos that I do. And that doesn't mean that I don't show you them, because there's going to be some paintings that you do that you don't love either. And that's okay. Because there's something in it that I thought that was important for you to see. So this is watercolor with a bit more detail. And we did it by adding some blue and more of that brown. Okay. So you can also stop at this point. But I'm even gonna go one step further and do some pen and ink. So if you're ready for that, gonna let this dry for, you know what? Let it dry for a good 20 minutes. And then go back to it. Put a little hot dog end on it. Okay. See how it's kind of fuzzy right there? Sometimes that's okay, but because we're taking a second and tightening everything, I can do this too. Just kind of finding the edge of the bun right there. So if you have a section like that where it looks kind of unfinished, you can go ahead and try to finish it up with a little bit of a darker color. And it kind of took away from the hot dog. So I gotta go back in and wipe just a smidgen of it out. Okay. So, second step of hot dog. Now this is pretty wet. Okay, so now that it's dried for a little bit, we're gonna go back in, here we go. We're gonna go back and do some pen and ink. Remember, you're controlling where someone's eye is gonna go. And notice how these aren't straight lines, these are bent lines because this is a bent part of the object. For areas that are a little bit wider, we're switching to 0.8 instead of the 0.05 we were just using to really get a nice darkness. And we're not doing this everywhere. We're just picking and choosing things that we want to stand out. If you do it everywhere, it's going to really, really, really detract from your painting. If you do it in a few places, it'll make it a little more interesting. And just really give it a different feel. I mean, it's fine the other way too. But I like just a little bit of pen and ink in my cards. Okay, so we added a little texture to it. Like I said, it was fine with just the watercolor, but this is another look, a little bit more illustrative. And you can take it as far as you like, and then send it out. Actually, I'm gonna do a little bit more right here. Okay. Hot dog watercolor card. Check.